Passive Investment Club, Milton Jackson. Last week we talked about building a like-minded community of investors interested in building wealth, cash flows, reducing taxes, creating financial independence through commercial real estate, pooling capital, and investing in large real estate assets, syndications as passive investors. Also talked about investing in multiple properties, assets, classes, market sponsors to de-risk our investments and accelerate our return on investment. Owning hard assets to purchase cash flow, tax benefits, and equity building, something that we all can see, feel, and touch. And also we talked about using TriVest as a system to create our mission goals. So I guess this week we have a different agenda. This week we're going to be talking about what was that? I can talk to you. What are you? Someone's trying to get my attention here. So this week we're going to talk about vetting the sponsors, correct?
Yeah. So
about first impression, the sponsor team referrals, testimonials, underwriting and procedures, market cycle experience, ability to execute, and top deal sponsor examples. And that's most of what you're going to cover. And what time you think you're going to go until tonight?
It's not going to be long. It's just more. We'll probably, I would say 20 minutes, and then
about 20 minutes.
It's more like just of any networking, and then going over kind of our progress and everything. But
okay, so as far as from last week meetup, we talked about starting a group. We actually got a group together, and we were looking for 10 people, $5,000, per person. So we actually filled that group already. We didn't get all the cash in already. We're in the process of setting up everything through TriVest. And once that gets completed, now if anybody falls out, then we'll be looking for someone else to fill the spot. Between Dwaine, you, me, and Tara, we all three came up with 20 grand. So, and the rest, the 30 grand extra filled by 6 other investors. So that's where we're at. So our goal is to be actively investing before the end of the first quarter, so we can actually get another group going for the next quarter. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we'll be getting that bucket ready, and then just so we have our the capital ready to deploy and everything. So
right.
Yeah, so that's the goal, to get the first one out, and then that's where we're going to talk about the potential sponsors that we'll invest with.
Yeah. So what we want to try to do is get as much investing pool going as possible, groups investing, so that we can have things to show where people see that we're actually doing this and are confident in working with us. And as we put our money where our mouth is. We're not asking anyone to do something that we're not doing. We're actually actively investing alongside you. So we're gonna be vetting every company that we work with, to make sure that the investment is as safe as it possibly can be. And our returns will be great. So and that'll turn it over to you, Dwaine.
All right, thank you, Brother Milton. Hey, Brother Rick, how you doing? So yeah, because he wasn't on the last meeting, and then Brother Milton was kind of finishing his point. So our first meeting, we just pretty much went over the whole scope of the new plan, because our total membership group in the some that are not super active is like over 200 people, and a lot of them we met when we had the physical meeting at Milton's restaurant, Jamaica Kitchen in Vernon. And a lot of them also all express the same sentiment, that they want to get involved in real estate, but don't have $50,000, ready to deploy. So with this new plan, we're able to now put together between 1,000, 5,000, any different market you're comfortable with, put it together as a group, and then invest it into a project. So right now we're getting that first one out the door, for the first quarter. And then this one, we're going to be talking about actual sponsors that we're going to be potentially looking at to invest with for the first deal, and then also kind of our process of how we're going to look at all the sponsors. And I'm going to put together a nice detailed sheet. Milton's already been on the phone, asking all of the questions, getting all this stuff, and doing all of the homework. So then when we present it to you guys, you can say, okay, this makes sense. I agree with this, I don't agree with this, but at least everyone is in the know of getting everything, all the information together. So let me just pop open my screen here. Alrighty. Oops.
Brother Rick, how are you?
Well, let me see if I can hand the power over to Brother Milton, because some people are still popping in, and then if I have the PowerPoint at full screen, I won't be able to see who's entering. So I'm going to give the power to you, Brother Milton, and then.
Okay.
And then, do you see your you could be able to
It says
mute and unmute and all that stuff?
It says I'm the host now, so.
And I think I can be able to share. Okay, actually, I got to take back the power 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh, can you get the power back to me for a second?
You got it?
No, this you go on to participants, and you should see on the right side, and then you just put make me host again.
I'm keeping the power.
Or you can go down and click the share thing, and then put allow guest or whoever to share their screen. I think that'll work.
Share.
Maybe we should have Brother Phil had run this meeting, because he's the IT guy here.
So what's the first thing? So go to participants and then
no, what if you see down below, I think you can click a button to
share
allow
screen.
me to allow others to share. I forgot to
share.
do that before I did this.
Share computer sound, optimize sharing of
allow
video.
others. You see it?
No, I see share and I see optimize screen sharing of video clip. Share computer sound.
No, actually, all right. Well, then just hand me the baton, and then I'll do it, and I'll give it back to you.
So how do I hand you the baton? How do I?
So you go over to participants on the right.
Okay, hold on. Participants, yep.
And then you see all the names on the right.
Yep.
And then you go over my name, you go more. And then you click make me host or make host.
All right, got you. Make you host.
Yeah, apologize, my friend.
I'm sorry.
Okay, multiple participants can share simultaneously. Okay, all right, we did that. And then I'll switch it back over to make host. Perfect. Okay. All right, now I can share my screen.
All right, got it.
There it is. Beautiful. My brother Rick run the meeting next time. So, all righty, here we go. So like Brother Milton had mentioned, so this is kind of like, and it's in no particular order, but it's kind of the same where Phil was saying that he, I think he had mentioned it in the last meeting that you look at stocks and all different types of investments, people looking at gold, people looking at single family houses. So we go through this evaluation process to see if everything makes sense. And I know Milton does that because he buys a lot of stocks. So he's always researching the company, researching the principles, what they did in the past and their track record. So we're doing the exact same thing since we're putting together capital to invest into these large projects. And it's a lot of money, even if it's $1,000 or $50,000 or more, whatever it is, we're going to take the same process to minimize the risk as much as possible. So like today, Brother Milton called a couple sponsors to kind of do a test run, which we're going to do with all of them. And fortunately with the podcast that I do, I interview probably most of the top sponsors. And I kind of go through a same process with them because I do it twofold to, of course, to bring information to the audience who's listening, but also selfishly for me to also kind of get to know these sponsors directly, learn about them one-on-one, and then see if there are any potential synergies in the future. So, for the most part, we're dealing with high-level, highly experienced sponsors, and of course, there's new people popping up all the time. But for our group and for our purposes, and there's plenty of these guys for us to choose from. So as far as kind of like the first impressions, going to the website, do they have a professional consistent brand, both in person as well as online. And then also there's certain steps that they have to do because of SEC regulation called pre-existing relationships. So they must kind of know you before you can invest with them. And the SEC put that in place in order for them to have an established relationship, and you kind of get to know each other before you end up pulling the trigger on a deal. There's no preset time limit as far as how long they should know you, but ideally it involves them reaching out to you, having a phone call, having a Zoom meeting, having a charted email correspondence, everything. They must save all of that stuff, and then also if they talk to you, have to track it in their CRM in order to be compliant, because if then they get audited, they can get shut down and all of that stuff. So typically if we reach out to a sponsor, go on their website, message them on social media, or see them at a meetup group in person, they have to take the same approach. So typically we want to, of course, and that's the same for anyone we do business with, we want them to call us back in a reasonable amount of time, want us to email us back and answer our questions if we have that. So that's of course just any type of professional courtesy, but also it has a literal law that they have to do that. And then some of the questions that we will ask, and this is what I do through my podcast, is I'm asking them what markets do they invest in, why, what characteristics of the market do they like? Is it, population growth? Is it, business regulation? Is it landlord friendly state? I want to kind of get a good feel of why they choose there, because I see a whole bunch of different type of sponsors where they'll see a deal in Dallas, Fort Worth, which is a really good market. And then all out the blue, they'll call me and say, I'm going to invest in something in Seattle, Washington. And those two markets are so totally different. The only thing I can conclude is that they're just chasing around deals and they're looking for people to buy into these deals. So that means they have to have a set criteria, acquisition profile of what they're buying, know everything, study it, breathe it, have all their broker relationships, do a lot of work, boots on the ground in order to really know that deal. So that's how we will feel comfortable to invest with a group like that. Another question would be, do they invest in their own deals? So a lot of times these sponsors can really fill up their investments quite quickly. They'll send out an email and within 4 hours, they'll get all of the money that they need. In some positions, they're not in the position where they need to put any money in, but it makes us as the investors who are putting our hard-earned money into these deals to know that they have skin in the game and money to lose. So, but we also know that if they're going to put in money, of course, they're going to put in for escrow. They have to pay for attorneys, SEC attorneys, accounting, all this different type of stuff. So it is quite an investment that they put in, but we just want to know that they are putting in money into their own deals. There's some sponsors that we're going to look at that have an office or have proximity close to the projects that they're buying. Like there's some Texas operators that within 3 or 4 hours, worst case scenario, they can go out there. Or the next best case scenario is that they have a national or regional property manager or a manager that has a lot of units under management. So I used to work with way back in the day, Win Management Company, which is one of the largest property management companies in the whole country. I think they have like 40,000-50,000 units that they're managing. So they're managing everything. So if they're working with a group like that, that means that they're going to be taking care of the properties, that the actual sponsor don't actually have to put together their own property management company, but they have an actual expert where they know about all of the local laws, have all the contacts with attorneys if they have to do evictions, doing maintenance calls, all that stuff is handled. So once they have a business plan, the business plan gets implemented without any problems. Then we're going to check on their web. A lot of these companies have on their website how many active deals do they have. So some of them, they have made 6 projects that they currently own that are going through their first cycle. So we want to know how many that they have. And then also for me, the biggest important one is how many deals went full cycle. So the full cycle is they purchased the property, they implemented the business plan, and then they sold it, and then returned the money back to us as the investors. And that's the actual full cycle. So we're able to take a case study of them doing it from A to Z and actually implementing the whole plan, so we can actually see that they did it, compared to someone just buying up a whole bunch of property, which is good, but you haven't proven to us that you have completed a full business plan, because not every time everything goes well or as planned. We want to know how they handled it and go to the finish line. And then we want to see their largest full cycle, because I see some sponsors, they'll buy like 11 unit and then sell it 2 years later, which is nice, 11 units, but we are looking at going big. So we want to see them handle a big size project with a $500,000 renovation budget and doing multiple things at the same time, because if they're able to handle that, go full cycle, then that's pretty impressive to me. Want to know who's guaranteeing the loan. In certain cases, the way some of these sponsors structure deals, that they have a loan KP, which is a key principal. So they'll find a very high net worth investor that is not directly involved in the deal, that they bring on as a partner to co-sponsor the deal. So we want to see if there's any, which is not a bad thing. We want to make sure that there's synergy within their company and this person, because they're actually working together as a group. So that's something important that we should know, who's taking care of the loan as far as the guarantee. Any advisors. I know a lot of the top sponsors that was educated by like Rod Cleef or Jake and Gino or Joe Fairless. That kind of gives some more weight to the credibility, because then you know that they're working with experienced people who taught them, that have a tremendous amount of experience. So that's important. We want to know how long the core team has been together. I know, like, sometimes you see partnerships where they just say, hey, we're going to start doing projects, and they're really not, have a long track record together. So it's nice to see how long they've been together, which, tells me that they've been doing it for a long time and they have a system going and it works for them. And also we'll ask you that to find out, because every deal has a story. Any deal has any deal gone bad, or has it gone the way it was planned? And it was not particularly to find out if they failed. It's good that they wouldn't fail. We want to know if anything went wrong with the property. We want to know how they handled it. So in order for them, in case something happens like COVID that comes out of nowhere, how would they handle a situation of adversity that they can be able to overcome? Me and Milton was talking earlier today about physical office. We'll hop in the car or hop on a plane to go meet these guys at the office, because if we're putting $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 in these projects, we want to know who we're dealing with. So any amount of money, even if it's $1,000 or whatever it is, because our goal is to do this multiple times and get everybody getting that cash flow, becoming financially free. I also want to know any third-party legal accounting consultants. Some of them have them in-house, but some of them partner with very large accounting or legal firms to do their work. And sometimes they put them on their website, but it's good to know who's doing it and who they're dealing with, because sometimes we can also call the accountant or the attorney to also get a reference on how this group is operating, and that kind of gives some more legitimacy to the group. And then there are relations. So how they structure, and it was kind of talking about kind of how the team is structured. So some of these sponsors, they will have 5, 6 people on the team, which is good, because then the sponsor is not doing all of the work by himself. And we know that when they have multiple team members, that things will get handled. In particular, investor relations, because sometimes they're dealing with, like a large group like us that will maybe write them a check for 100,000 or whatever it is, or they're dealing with 100 individual investors. So we want to know if they have an individual investor relations person that you can talk to, that can answer questions, especially all of the questions we had before, pick up the phone, answer us in a reasonable amount of time. That's very important. The continuity plan. I know there's one sponsor, she has a statement right on our website, which is very nice to see, and I see others have that in their offering memorandums, in case a principal dies or become incapacitated, where they can't do the job, and then everything falls apart. So we want to know that they have a plan in place, so if something happens, we know that business is going to continue and everyone's going to still receive their money. The relationships, as far as kind of markets and doing deals, having strong broker relationships and having strong debt relationship or mortgage broker relationships is very key, because that'll allow them to actually get deals. Because in this multifamily space, these large commercial properties, these sellers are not dealing with any person that just come off the street and say, I want to go buy your property. And they're usually listed with a broker, and the broker is only going to deal with people who can actually close on the deal. So if they have those type of relationships, that gives them an advantage of not just picking up any deal they find on LoopNet, but actually finding really strong on and off market deals. And then we're going to go talk to past investors, find out what their thoughts on investing with this particular group, get testimonies, get referrals. So things we'll ask these type of investors is, how is the monthly reporting? You send an email telling us about leasing. How's the business plan coming along? Are you renovating units? When do you plan on doing this? When do you plan on doing that? Just to keep the investors in the know of what's going on. Don't have to tell us everything, but at least keep us up to date of the progress, so everyone's kind of on the same page. And then having their projections, their targeted projections that they have on their offering memorandum compared to the real numbers when we get the reports, have those been matching up? Are they close? Are they beating projections? Have they been doing? Because if we find out that they're underperforming, that means that they didn't do a proper job doing the underwriting and doing their calculations. So, and then of course, how do they communicate? I know some of these sponsors, they do quarterly conference calls, so they'll get everybody on a Zoom and say, hey, this is what's going on with the property. Everything's going good. Here's some pictures. They'll send a newsletter, kind of let people up to date. And then they'll also have times where they'll be able to allow us to give investor calls to answer any questions that we may need. Another big thing is that did they get their K-1, which is their tax form, as being a part owner of the property? Did you get it in a timely manner? Usually, towards the end of the year, they have the accountant put all that information together, send it over to us, so then we can bring it to our accountant so we can properly file our taxes. So I've seen some stories where people are getting them late, and then they have to do an extension with their accountant in order to file their taxes. So we want to know that they have their game in order to make sure that they're able to get K-1s out on time, no hiccups, and everything is running smoothly. And of course, we'll get, ask them about any bad news that you get from sponsors, and did they do any additional capital calls? So the capital call is once we invest our $50,000 or whatever amount it is, are they going to call us on the phone and say, well, we actually need $100,000. Do you mind bringing us more money? So we want to work with a sponsor that don't do any capital calls, because we want to make sure that they, A, budget properly to make sure they have enough money to buy the property and to operate it. And two, for them to have backup money for themselves in case that does happen. But we would suggest that they have the first one of make sure everything is done properly for the first time and not go back to investors asking for more money. And then, of course, when I mentioned about the underwriting, we want to make sure that they're conservative as far as their underwriting and not too optimistic. Some of them, we're going to do another webinar where we go over an example deal of how some sponsors overinflate their numbers in order for the projection to look good, in order for them to sell it to investors. Because each market is different. So you have Tampa, Florida, and Salt Lake City, Utah are totally different markets, and you'll get totally different projections. So we want to make sure, that's why it goes back to my earlier slides, that they research their market properly, so they know price per square foot, rent per square foot, price per door, the rents, all of the numbers, so they know, what to do. And then also underwrite it conservatively, so in case something like COVID come, that they'll be able to continue to cash flow the property without any issue. So, and then also, of course, accounting for, and of course, no one expected this, but moving forward, we're going to make sure that they have protocols for any impending government regulation or shutdown, that they can still be able to operate on a good basis. So the multifamily, I've been hearing that they still been receiving high collection rates, even though they did moratoriums. But overall, the consensus I've been getting from the operators on the multifamily side is that they've been still doing very well, because even though people have been laid off, they've been getting the unemployment, so they've been able to pay their rent. So that's good. Another big thing is that have this sponsor owned and operated during the 2008 crash. So if they're able to then withstand that period of time with so much volatility and do well, then that kind of gives another indicator that they're a strong operator, compared to someone that's just buying their first deal now, who hasn't had that war experience of going through a market cycle. And of course, every year, every 8 to 10 years or whatever it is, there's these market cycles, and they have to account. And that's why they have to have a really strong, detailed business plan of, okay, we're going to hold the property for 3 years and sell it, or we're going to hold it or we're going to get long-term debt of 10-year, a 10-year mortgage. So therefore, if anything happens during this period of time, we can just hold it and then sell it at the end of the 10 years, compared to getting bridge financing or things like that. So that's very important as well, to know that they have experience in that. And then of course, the ability to execute. So dealing with people who've done this before, that they raised the money, got all the money that they need, and closed. I've seen sponsors where they're scrambling at the last minute. They didn't do the raise properly, so they didn't start doing the capital raise early enough, and then end up coming closer to the closing deadline and either had to extend the closing or lose out on the deal, and then had to give back the investors their money back and then start from scratch. So that's a big thing. So we have to make sure that they're capable of executing. Who's putting up the deposits? Of course, it's normally from the sponsor, but I've seen in cases where they ask investors to put in on that. And what is the protocol for whatever reason that they can't raise all the funds? Typically, they'll just wire the money back to the investors, and then everybody just kind of shake hands and go away. So we just want to make sure that we have answers to those questions, so that when we present it to the group, everyone's on the same page. And then here's some example. We're kind of heading towards the end of the presentation, but one of the top guys, and they're all over the place. They've been doing this for many years. Is Ashcroft Capital, which is a company started by Joe Fairless and Frank Rosler, and they right now at this point they're at 1.1 billion under management. So that's how much properties that they own currently. And I forgot to put on this slide how much they sold, but they sold a tremendous amount of properties. And their main target market is Texas and Florida. So they know those know those markets back to front. So they know everything there. And they get a lot of off-market deals. All the brokers know them. They have all the relationships. So this is a good potential sponsor to consider when we're looking at doing one of our investments. And kind of go back, and I took this right from their website, their acquisition criteria. So us as the investors, we see it and say, okay, this is what they're doing, and it aligns with what they own and sold. So it's not like they're telling us this is what we want, but what we end up owning this stuff because we're not able to get these deals. This is another multifamily called Comunidad, and they specialize in acquisitions in the Sun Belt markets, where primarily their main renter is in the Hispanic population. So they do very well in this marketplace. So they're about almost 700 million under management, 8,700 units. So this is another potential. I actually spoke with the principals a couple months ago, and they're very sharp, and they underwrite very conservatively, and you can kind of see it in their numbers, but they have really good returns as well. And I put this here as kind of like past results, 3.05 multiple. So if we put in 50,000, it's the potential of getting a 3x on that money, which is pretty good. And then moving over to self-storage, this is one of the top self-storage operators in the whole country. I forget what number they are exactly. They're like in the top 10 owner in the whole country as far as like units. So it's run by Todd Allen, and Louis Pollock. And this, they're in the self-storage industry, and they also do a lot of ground up new construction as well. And they run multiple funds, but this is a very strong group as well. And I talked to Todd as well as Chris Benson, which is their one of their VPs at the company. I think I had another slide for manufactured home parks, but I think I did not include it on this one. But this kind of go back to my point is for the group, and this is for people who will end up seeing a replay, of course, is to kind of have our money ready to go and really strike it when the iron is hot. So what I'm doing, I'm in the process of putting together an updated spreadsheet of all of the sponsors, and they'll have all of the criteria there, and we'll kind of have some checkoffs. And me and Milton are going to go through, and we're going to talk to all of them, and then we're going to report back. And then once we start getting more of the groups together and then having the money ready, then we could start making some decisions as the time gets closer to see if this is something that the group will consider investing in. And if there's any other questions, we can also get the sponsor to do a presentation for us, so we can also ask them questions. All of the questions here, they can kind of tell us about what they're doing, what plans that they're doing, their thoughts on the market, so we can get to know them as well. And then next Thursday is a big meeting. We're actually going to have the CEO of TribeVest to come on for about 15 minutes, so we can ask some questions about the platform and how everything operates. But I think that'd be good timing as we kind of start getting more of these groups together. So that's pretty much my presentation there. Any question on what do you guys think so far? Oh, we got some more people. What do you think, Brother Rick? Nice. I don't think I met Devin before. Devin, are you new to the group?
Hey, Dwayne. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, there. Nice to meet you. I got your email this morning of
Okay,
the
perfect.
meeting.
So where are you based on?
To hear what? I live in Willington, right on Yukon.
Okay. All right, nice. Yeah, I'm hoping we can kind of eventually get back in. We had it planned for the 4th Thursday to kind of do like either a bowling or meet at a restaurant for drinks and things like that. And eventually, once things kind of open up, we'll kind of do that so everyone can kind of see us, kind of get back in the mix of things. But as we kind of get closer, and then we're going to be continuously doing all of these trainings so we can kind of get ready, get educated. So then by the time we're ready to make the move, we're ready to go, so, and like I said, whatever amount that's comfortable for you. I mean, the first group obviously started off with 5,000 each, but if it's, 1,000, whatever it is, or you want to set it up where you have a W-2 job or whatever it is, you want to set up into the tribe account that is coming out every 2 weeks that you're making a contribution towards the goal, we can help set that up for you. So then now it's not, I need to have $5,000 to invest. It could be, okay, I could do $250 every 2 weeks or whatever it is until you hit your goal. And then once we hit the goal, then we're ready, and then we'll be able to take to the next level. So I think this is flexible for a lot of different people. Then it will allow us to kind of get committed, which is the big thing, get committed, and then actually take some action this year. And then whatever legwork you want me and Milton to do to get information to the group, we'll get all that stuff so we can kind of get our group really acclimated and really take some big steps this year.
Love the energy.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what do you do? Do you are you also in any other investment groups as well, or are you just kind of learning more about the process?
I think I'm signed up for a bunch, but I keep getting your emails, so I figured I'd hop in this and see what this is all about. But no, I actually just graduated from UConn, studying real estate, so kind of like getting my foot in the door.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting groups, networking, etc.
That's what it starts. That's what it starts. You know, just get out there and get more information, and then whatever goals you're trying to hit, we'll do our best to help you out.
Oh yeah. No, I'm excited so far. This is great.
Absolutely. And I talked to Trelvon, and I apologize if I mispronounced the name. How you doing?
Hi, Dwaine. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So I do have a question. What role do yourself and Milton play in facilitating in facilitating these transactions, as far as like choosing the sponsors and what multifamily property you want to invest in?
Yeah, so we're just pretty much, we're gonna get all of the sponsors, because the kind of the goal was to allow people, regardless if it's a low capital contribution, or for my case, like we was planning on making some large investments, but I kind of like the ability to diversify. So that's why you're gonna use the TribeVest platform. But us, as me and Milton, we're just gonna bring all of the information, bring all the education, and do all the legwork and present it to the group. And then once we set up the individual tribe groups, we're gonna bring all that stuff together, and then everyone's gonna collectively vote to say, I wanna move forward on this. But I want everyone to feel comfortable and educated on what we're doing. But we're pretty much gonna create the agenda, but then allow people to actually choose if they want to move forward on it or not. But well, yeah, we're just facilitating it. And as far as with TribeVest, the thing I like about the platform, it is a completely third-party neutral platform. So you go in there and you invest your money. If you change your money, you can pull it out. You can see all of the documents all in one place. The money goes all in an escrow with the actual national bank. The LLC is created. The operating agreement is created. So you'll actually be a part owner of that company that invests into a project. So it'll have your name, or have 9 other people's name on there, or lay out all of the rules that this money is going into a single property for this acquisition of this purpose. We'll also lay out the rules of when the sponsor sends a check to the company, how it gets distributed to each member based off of how much money you put into the actual company as well. So everything's gonna be laid out. Then you get the actual K1, which is the tax form that you're gonna be able to give to your accountant, and then you get all the tax benefits and all that stuff. So we're just pretty much getting everything started, and then presenting everything, and allowing everyone to partake this year in some commercial projects. Any other? Oh, Charmaine, how you doing? And happy birthday again. We got an iPhone too. We got a iPhone guest. Who's that?
That might be me. It's Tara.
Oh, hey Tara, how are you?
I thought the picture came up, but I guess not.
Oh.
Not bad.
Oh, and also anyone who didn't send your email and your your phone number, if you don't mind putting into the chat, so then we'll make sure to, because sometimes some people are saying they didn't get the message from Meetup, maybe because they're getting so much messages from there. So, because if it's okay with everyone, I'll send out a weekly newsletter. We'll have all the meetings, all the links and all that stuff, and keep everybody up to date. And also we have the Facebook private group where we'll share the same information in there as well. So everyone has all of the information. So, but, and then,
yeah, as we said earlier, we already have funding for the first group. So we raised, we met, what was it, 2 weeks ago, and we already raised the 50 grand. That was our goal. And between Dwaine and I, we came up with the first 20,000, and we found 6 other investors that were interested in joining up with us. So whoever is a part of the meetup, or whoever comes to the meetup, they can actually, see how this plays out with TribeVest. They can see what we're doing. So as we go along, you can feel comfortable to decide, whether this is something you'd like to do or not. All right. So.
Or if you want to go with your friends or family or co-worker and you want to use TribeVest, it's a great platform. So, and then this week we'll be having the CEO, and you can pick his brain, and he'll share all the information. So like I said, it's not exclusively for us, but the whole goal was, once our group starts growing, if we're able to now raise more larger amounts of capital to invest with sponsors, it gives us tremendous advantage to, one, negotiate with sponsors to get better returns, we get better deal flow, and it just allows us to be able to spread into multiple properties and diversify. So that's really the goal of putting our power together. But if you want to go and start TribeVest with you and your family member or whoever it is, it's a great platform to use, because it takes out of the whole Dwaine coming to your house and asking for a check and me calling you. It's all set up as third party. I'm not touching the money. It goes to a third party bank. Everything's all systemized. All of the forms, everything is in there, and it's like a very transparent process. So I want everyone to feel comfortable on what they do, and that's why we're going to do the education every week, answer questions, and then I'll dig into all of the stuff that everyone needs, so everyone feels good about it.
Yeah, and if anyone have anything in particular you'd like to know about, you can just send an email, and we'll just make sure that we get information to cover that topic.
And then future, I also have queued up as between two accountants that will come on to also talk about the benefits on the tax side as well. Because I know I mentioned it in the first presentation, but it's best to have it come from the horse's mouth, where they'll talk about, once you invest as a passive investor, all the benefits that you get as an owner. Because many cases, a lot of these investors are paying 0 taxes and receiving cash flow and all the different type of stuff, and we got to take advantage of whatever is available to us as investors to do that. So.
Okay, so does anyone have any other questions or anything you guys want to comment or talk about?
We want Milton to sing. He's also
no. That's a whole different meetup. So if no one have any other questions or anything, we're gonna sign off for now. So when is the next meetup be, Dwaine?
Well, typically it's the first.
Dwaine, quick question.
Yeah, Devin.
This is basically just crowdfunding, right? Like a waterfall structure.
Yeah, we're in essence we're crowdfunding, but it's a little bit, because they have like Realty Mogul and all those different types. So it's a little bit different because we have more of direct relationships with the sponsors. And then with the other crowdfunding sites, you're not able to negotiate with sponsors, because they have to also underwrite their fees and working with those crowdfunding platforms. So we're going direct. And also I have direct relationships with the sponsors as well. And then we're going to bring them to us, so you know them and know how to invest with them. So in essence, we're doing the exact same thing, but it's more once our group grows more, we'll end up having more leverage and power. But yeah, it's kind of the same process.
Gotcha. Just wanted to clarify. Thanks for that.
Absolutely. I forgot what I was gonna say. Was it Rick? Were you saying something or? Oh, okay. If you're looking for a new construction home, contact Rick in Fort Myers, Florida.
If you want to move to Florida, right?
Yeah, I soon see it. I soon see it down there. I need the warm weather. So.
So when's the next meeting?
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah, so next Thursday. So typically the meetings is first and third, and then we'll have like a topic that we'll cover, and then the fourth was kind of scheduled for us hanging out, but since we can't really hang out now, we'll kind of have that pending. But next Thursday we're gonna have the TribeVest CEO Travis Smith come on, and he's gonna pop in for like 15 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. And then he'll just kind of answer any questions, and you can do a screen share, kind of show us some, back end stuff, what the platform's going to be doing. But yeah, it's they're a startup, and I think, well, based on what he told me, there's no other company is doing it like this. So, which is pretty cool. Because like I said, it will actually help, meetup groups just like this. So if you're a realtor, you're a capital raiser, you're just looking to kind of do stuff with other people, it's a really good program to use. So you go in there and everything's all organized. So I like it a lot. So
Ms. Williams, I know you had a questions, and was it answered? That was a very good question. Were you comfortable with the answer, or did you have anything else to add? No, she's there. Hello, Ms. Williams.
I think she probably not
Sure.
like so.
I got a quick question for you guys.
Okay.
With the so are you?
No,
I
I'm all
guess
set. Thank you.
are you able to invest different amounts? And then if so, how are you determining the return? I guess is it just all based on percentage of return and how much you put in?
Yeah, so the amount that you put in is whatever you want. So we can pretty much determine for each tribe, they call it each tribe group. So we say the goal is $1,000 minimum. Then you can either put it in right from the get-go, or you can say I can put it into chunks every week or whatever until you get to that number. And whatever number that we agree on, if it's 50,000 to invest, we're looking at, of course, the major asset classes: multifamily, self-storage, manufactured home parks, and single tenant, because of the recession resilient and the historical returns. So on average right now, they're averaging 6 to 10% cash on cash return with a 1 to 2x multiple. So we're pretty much close to doubling your money. So if you put in 5,000, you can pretty much close to get to 4,000 and change. That's including the cash return in that time period, and then also the tax benefits. So that's why we're choosing that. But then if you wanted to do your own separate tribe and say, I'm going to buy Airbnb, which could probably net you a higher ROI, return on investment, then you can do that as well. But yeah, we like it for the combination of the multiple benefits. But yeah, if you put in $1,000, then it'll be whatever your return is on the 1,000. So, but we wanted to make it open, so whatever amount people can just kind of get comfortable to start putting in, just so you can start getting the process until the point where everyone's just getting pure passive income, and then you can kind of do what you want to do in life. So
Now with that, is there going to be a stop limit for the a max of what you can put in, or is it kind of sky's the limit?
yeah, you can put, so we can set up, so if it's 10 guys in the group or 10 people in the group, and the goal is 50,000, but someone says, well, I only can put in 1,000, that's how much I could put in, and the goal was 50, then you can put in more as well, and then you'll just have more ownership into that company, and then and then of course the higher return with that. But yeah, so it's pretty much you can put some or all, the whole amount, and but it allows everyone in different brackets, so you don't have to come in, everyone has to have $1,000. It has to be like but I would say preferably at minimum 1,000 in order for it to kind of make sense for you as the investor. And I think if, you know, either is right at the beginning or over time till you get that amount, I think that would make sense. So that's why we started the first one at 5,000, and eventually the next group will probably look at 10,000 or 20,000. So we're kind of getting a higher return on our money. But at the same time, we keep it low enough where we'll be able to invest in 4 different sponsors, 4 different markets, 4 different properties. Instead of me putting my 50,000 into one property, I can put into 10, and then spread out my risk, and then also have a blended return. So yeah, I think it's good. So I'm excited about it, and you know, we began. You know, thank you guys for giving us the call and learning more about it. Everyone seems very interested and to learn about it. But like I said, if it's through us or if you guys can use the platform, I think it's a really good way of getting money together to make it work, you know, because it can work on a single family or whatever you want to do. But, you know, we're doing the commercial for the multiple benefits that we get from it. Oh, is that Brother Phil?
So I had one question about if I start a TribeVest now, can I transfer that money to you all when you start the next group, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be putting together, because when you start a separate tribe, it has like the startup fees and everything, and us as the group. You know, me and putting together the group. Yeah, we'll be able to get everything all set up for you, and then once you're ready, I know you had indicated on the phone ready. I can have that ready to go, so then you can put the money in there. And one nice thing is once you register, you're in there, you see everything in there. So you'll see your money in there and all of the activities along with it. It has all an active receipt, so it knows like you put it in on this day at this time and everything that's in there. So I'll start that process, and if you want to do that, I'll get that started tomorrow, so we can kind of get the second group ready to go. Because we're going to be ready to deploy the first investment this first quarter, so we could probably do 2 at the same time, you know.
So do you have Phil's email address?
Yep, I got Phil's email.
Okay.
So yeah, I got his information, so we're going to get that started. So
All right.
absolutely. I think Mrs. Williams mentioned that there's some possible interest there as well, or people that are going to be that you have to talk to or something like that.
Oh yes, I'm definitely interested, but I do want to run it by some other people as well. I just want to kind of get more information. I know as the time goes on, you'll be presenting more information. I just want to kind of understand the majority of the process.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's no problem at all. And then also next week, if you want to tag on to that next meeting, and
yes,
whoever that was interested, because what we're going to do, we're going to have him on for the first 15 minutes, and we're pretty much going to do the presentation again, because we know new people keep coming on, and we're just going to lay it all the way through, and then every subsequent meeting after that is kind of going over the elements of investing. So we're going to go over how to evaluate a deal for our next following meeting, which will be the first of next month.
Okay, sounds good.
Absolutely. Yeah, we want to know that we're educated as much as the actual people who put together the investments, but then don't want to do it because we prefer to just sit back and have them do the work for us. So that's why I want everyone to have that comfort level that we know as much as what the sponsors are doing, but choose not to do it.
Makes sense. All right. So any more questions? Any more questions? So are you all set, Dwaine? Anything more to add before we decide?
Yeah, I'm all set on my end, and then what the replay, I'm gonna post as soon as it downloads on my computer. I'm gonna post it up on the YouTube, and I'll send a link out so everyone can check it out. And like I said, any additional people who wasn't on it that you prefer us to do a private presentation, I'll do that as well on Zoom. If some people want that as well, I can do that too.
All right. So great job, Dwaine. Thank you again. this week for a great presentation. And we look forward to seeing everybody next week, Thursday at 7 p.m. You guys have a wonderful rest of your week and enjoy the weekend and stay safe.
All right, brothers and sisters. All right, take care. All right, bye.
Thank
Sean.
you,
No, I
guys.
take it easy.
Bye.
Sarah.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, brother Rick. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna meet you there. Oh. Oh, there you go. So not too late for you? I know it's a kind of last minute, so.
No, I've just been working all day, so